Megan, they're doing what on them girls' trips?
I make this motherfucker bad. Coolie suelta, media loca, baila choca. I make this motherfucker bad.
They tricking y'all. They tricking y'all.
Come under a ton of scrutiny from men and especially from women. But one of the things that I did not recognize was that while passport bros are being accused of being just belligerent, degenerate, leftover sex tourists, not only are these women doing the same thing, they're probably doing it so much more.
There was a book by Bianca Williams called The Pursuit of Happiness. The way I found out about it is because they're using this book and
come under a ton of scrutiny from men and especially from women. But one of the things that I did not recognize was that while passport bros are being accused of being just belligerent, degenerate, leftover sex tourists, not only are these women doing the same thing, they're probably doing it so much more.
There was a book by Bianca Williams called The Pursuit of Happiness. The way I found out about it is because they're using this book at Williams College, which is the oldest liberal arts college, and they're studying the habits of black women going down to Jamaica. Getting Yankee woman come down from Babylon for the man for the bamboo, for yard man bamboo. That's what they're doing. That's what they're doing. They want the boom boom massage by the bamboo man, the bamboo king, basically. And they're paying these young men for it. They literally schedule trips. If you want to talk about sex trafficking, it's one thing for some random dude to go down there with his buddies and get drunk and hang out with some loose chicks on the street. It's another thing for an American company to specifically target older Black American women, have them pay them a fee, and then take them to a place in a foreign country wherein they can then solicit prostitution from male prostitutes. That is sex trafficking.
There is an entire ecosystem that supports sex tourism and sex industry, especially for women. We're not just talking about movies. We're not just talking about romance novels. We're not just talking about television series. All of which exist for women, none of which exists for men, by the way. No, we're talking about books that are being studied in universities.
And there are women who are doing it, and it's documented in this book by Bianca Williams. They're literally saying women old as your grandmother are going down to these spots in Ocho Rios, these spots in Montego Bay, and they are having young men as young as teenage boys bang their back out.
There is like literally an entire system that is set up to support women's sexual behavior, women's sexual fantasies. And it's not being criticized.
Women have been doing it for decades longer than men. What do I mean by that? There's a movie out called, years out. Stella Got Her Groove Back. You might be too young to remember. Okay. So
I wasn't allowed to watch it, but I remember it. My parents didn't.
Stella Got Her Groove Back was about this old lady who went down to Jamaica to get some bamboo from a young Jamaican man. Okay. What they're masking is the fact that young man was working. You understand what I'm talking about? He was.
What's the term?
Rent-a-dread.
Rent-a-dread?
Rent-a-dread.
Like renting a car, like rent-a-dread?
Like rent-a-dread. Women would come to the Jamaica and see the Rastaman them on the beach, and and them come to have a good time and rent-a-dread for that time that they're there.
This reminds me of hookup culture.
Well,
is that a hookup culture thing?
That's another aspect that they don't want to talk. They want to, and oh my God, this book talks about how, we're fighting feminism and intra-racism, and this is how we're fighting against, the power structure by going there and they get you back toe up. That's what you're doing. And then white women, all shout out to all the white women, because you always some Karens in on it. It's gotten so bad. They've been going to the Gambia. It's so bad now the government is now cracking down on these women going to the Gambia, enticing these young people. They got videos out about this. So, this is pot calling the kettle black, but humans will be humans. But either way, that's what I got to say about that.
The blatant hypocrisy that is being shown with this whole scenario is a literal joke. To me, this is just more free promotion for the passport bros. Anytime there is a push to try to shame these men, to try to find reasons to demean, to try to find reasons to instill fear or shame or guilt, whatever it may be, anytime that exists, the exact opposite happens. It's almost as if more free promotion. Thank you for making this movement now more popular. It's just downright bad. And truthfully, I was not aware. I really was not aware of how robust this system was, and not to mention all of the media representation that I shared earlier. It's like how is this even going on? This is a joke. It's literally a joke at this point. And really, at the end of the day, the world as a whole is becoming more globalized. This is jobs, the economy. I can literally text somebody in Nigeria right now and they get my message in the matter of 2 seconds. Like everything about this world has become more globalized, and that includes the dating and mating market. So no amount of trying to dig your heels in the ground, no amount of trying to shame, guilt, manipulate, cry, create stories, throw a tantrum, none of that is going to change the world is working. So it's like either you evolve or you adapt or you get left behind. But really, truly, truly, I think the biggest complaint and the real issue going on is because women are now painfully aware that they're going to have to step up to the game. That they're not gonna get by just doing half-hearted things. They're not going to get by just offering pennies and expecting millions in return. They're not going to get by with just their bad behavior anymore. They're actually going to have to put in the work. And I think something about that enrages and bothers and infuriates women who were told that they're the prize and all they have to do is just be. That they are the table. They don't need to bring anything to the relationship, and Prince Charming will come. You have a woman who grew up hearing this. You have a woman who grew up with this expectation that the prince is going to come for me just because I exist. And they were never told that work was required for them to have, maintain, and succeed in a relationship. Now that fantasy is shattering, it's falling apart in front of their eyes, and they don't know how to handle it. But instead of actually admitting that and saying, okay, I actually may have to work now. Crap. Now I actually may have to be nice. Dang it.
Please, sir. I'd like some more.
More? You want more of these broads being hypocritical? More?
Hello, it is me, an ambassador for the bad bitches, and I would like to formally announce that we all collectively believe that the passport bros are whack. You gotta leave the country for cooch.
Damn, triple homicide.
Yikes. Ew. You thought that was cute? Now here, I'm gonna offer some suggestions. Bitches in the States don't wanna fuck you because the inside of you is terrible. Bitches on the outside of the States also don't want to fuck you because your inside is terrible. You possessing a passport does not grant you access to human bodies, thus perpetuating your whackness. All right, gang. Enjoy your flight. I heard JetBlue's having a sale. Don't get robbed. Or do. I don't really care.
I'm a passport boy.
Today we are talking about African American women dating black men from different cultures. Bianca, you wrote a book about this, The Pursuit of Happiness. Let's get into it a little bit.
I went to Jamaica to study race and diaspora, actually, to figure out whether or not black folks in Jamaica and black folks in the U.S. were experiencing race in the same way. No, we are not. We experience blackness very differently. African Americans have a lot of power because of the U.S. and military power, economic power, etc. But I came across this fabulous group of women from Girlfriend Tours International. It was a group of women who brought African American women from the U.S. to Jamaica for traveling, to live out their stellar fantasies.
So black women have groups where they organize groups to go to Jamaica. See, in the book, don't blame it on Rio, the real deal behind men, why men go to Brazil for sex. See, it was framed by the author Jewel Woods that it was bad for brothers to organize trips to Brazil. But when we find out that black women are doing it, Jewel Woods ain't got nothing to say about that. Aaron Fountain ain't got nothing to say about that. Interesting. My man Abe is great in the building with the $2 super chat. Appreciate you, brother. He says, pseudoscience nonsense. Exactly. How much lipstick can you put on a goddamn pig? Let's continue. Fair use. Fair use.
Weren't necessarily looking for men. They were looking to connect with one another, but the men were there and very present and giving them all the love and appreciation that they couldn't really experience in the U.S. Part of why they're going to Jamaica is to escape white supremacy. To find a space that is predominantly black. The U.S. is a space where we feel racism on a daily basis. They went.
Right, because black men couldn't possibly feel racism on a daily basis, and maybe one reason why they go to Cartagena, which is a predominantly black area of Colombia, or why they go to Bahia, which is a predominantly black area of Brazil, or you know what I mean? It couldn't possibly be because they want to get away from the racism too. Oh no, it's to take advantage of the poor little brown women's. But look at what the lovely ladies are doing to Dexter St. Jock. My man Elim in the building with the $20 super chat. Appreciate you, brother. He says, we are the only country in the world who have people put another country in front of American African. If you go somewhere else in the world, you are identified by where you were born, despite your country lived overseas. There it is. Let's continue, shall we? Fair use. Fair use.
To go somewhere where they can relax, let their hair down, a beach, all that good stuff.
I wanted to ask though that they're escaping white supremacy from the U.S., but they're going to a country that is the result of colonialism, and colonialism is still very parallel. It's still white supremacy in another form.
So there's a chapter in the book where I talk about the different positionalities that African American women who are tourists and Jamaican women who live there are experiencing. Kind of this triangle that is created between the Jamaican men who are showing all this love and attention, tourists who are there, and the
you see how you see it? Oh yes, girl, yes. Yeah, they like that part. They don't give a damn about the fact that they displacing their sister. See, this is the reason why ain't no such thing as a sisterhood among black women. Black women can and will step over your still warm carcass to get your man, sister. Understand that, know that. And the lovely Miss Nakira Brown says, oh my God, not Jessie Woo. Yes, Jessie Woo. Yes. Yes. You know how black women like to do that. You know what my box said? Yes. Yeah, they like to do that. Yes, her. Fair use. Fair use.
Right. They're not getting that. Right. At the time, I saw that kind of gender roles were being disrupted in Jamaica because of the expansive numbers of African American women tourists who are going there. Right. So it's disrupting some of the gender stuff that's happening there. And so the book is about happiness. It's about leisure. It's about joy and sex and intimacy. But the umbrella of it all is like, how are we being black in the U.S. and Jamaica, and how do we experience these different types of white supremacy that either kill us or bring us down? How we take care of each other in that moment.
How are now the African American women assimilating into the Jamaican culture?
So what I loved about this particular group of women was that they engage in something I call traveling with diasporic heart. So they don't stay at all-inclusive. They specifically target hotels, transportation companies that are owned by Black Jamaicans, and constantly as they return, they give their money back to those companies. So they were very intentional about how their American dollars could affect Jamaica. But yes, there is a lot of tension between African American women and Jamaican women because there's an assumption is that you're going there to steal men, to have sex with men.
Is the assumption wrong? Is the assumption wrong, my good brothers? Are the lovely ladies of Jamaica wrong for assuming that? Really? Really? They're just making it up in their head? Is that it? It has no basis in fact? Really? Really? They're just making it up. And yet and still, the lovely ladies of the community want to give the brothers a hard way to go for exercising their own options. Options for me, but not for thee. And they have no problem whatsoever trampling over their Jamaican sisters to do it. Yeah. You cannot make this shit up.
There was a lot of tension. I think the one spot where I saw that women were able to connect was around motherhood. So if you are looking for your person, I would say just really hold on to the notion that self-care is not only about like massages or only about meditation and prayer and connect. It's about connection, right?
We know all about the connection. We know what they connecting to. We know all about what these lovely ladies of the community are really connecting to, don't we? Big, juicy. Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what they connected to. They're getting a connection, all right. They're making connections. I'm done with this.
Who was gonna make me feel good?
This one was talking about in this information aired about Bianca Williams talking about Jamaican women and all that. What was the whole epigenesis?
Well, I mean, the thing is, I guess what got people interested in the book is Jamaican women were actually complaining because I know dudes are going to think we're exaggerating. There are planes full of Black women. Whole planes. Like, for real. And by the way, there was an article saying that they literally had to change some rules about the hotels with the BBL stuff because it's so many and they don't do that. They're not a hospice care thing. It was something about the seats. And same thing with the planes too. They had to kind of issue a notice, but people do not understand because it's organized and it's been organized. This stuff like Mocha Fest has been around since like 2016, 15. And it's the next one is supposed to be in Greece. You know, that's an Instagram page I followed. I haven't gone to any myself, but you know, because it was like in the list of categories of travel things I've followed, like a whole bunch of stuff. So anyway, so the point is, she wrote the book, and the way she sells it is she sells it what Marty just said: 6 foot, 6 inches or whatever, and 6 figures. Well, they know they're not getting the money because they know mathematically that's not what it is, and they're running that no. So they're gonna get the other stuff like Black women do. And what they do is they go overseas to get that. That is what they do. This is why when dudes talking game and talk about you gotta do all this other crap, this is what they're doing. Now keep in mind, women get to choose who they want to have sex with. Right. And it is much more likely that a dude that's an 8 will maybe not commit to but have sex with a woman that's like a 6. That's way more likely. Yet they're going all the way over there and they're doing that. And they've been doing that. It is like anywhere the white woman has been, the Black woman is going. That's pretty much what that is. And so what's important about this video is the way she sells it is she sells it as Black women have no options because Black men, she won't say it this way, but Black men have traditionally just not been up to the task. So we have to do what we have to do. And so it's this, that's why they call it trans, intersectionalism, transnationalism, because they justify it by saying we're going to other places in the diaspora to find a love that Black men just won't give us. Under the guise of these girls trips in the book that she wrote, she was pretty honest about the book. Her family was getting mad. It got to the point where this stuff was being an addiction. The way she writes it. This is the way. This is an African American woman, and they were talking about how they were moving. It's crazy. And the thing is, nobody's saying anything because black men don't care. Just like how, for the most part, black men don't really care about black women dealing with white men. Not like how white men care in reverse. And so, again, to keep it simple, black men are resource capital. Remember the article that said that there is no black sperm? And they're talking about sperm is worth $1,500 to $2,500, even though they paying black men $70. I could definitely see a situation where they start importing black sperm. I definitely because they're talking about bidding wars and stuff. And I'm actually proud of black men that ain't no black sperm in the sperm base.
But yeah, but here's a question: imported from where?
Africa.
That's not what they want, though.
I'm just saying there's none. So when there's not
I brought that up earlier.
What's that stuff that's that natural sweetener? I don't want that. I want real sugar.
Stevia?
But if it's that or
guava,
water, and I want something sweet, so I hear what you're saying from a practical standpoint, but I'm saying that's why I say I can see a future. But my point is,
but Anderson, before you go on with that point, I just want to say, this whole thing about sperm donation and in vitro fertilization, that's the height of a woman's hypergamy. I don't think you can get he's a $200,000 brother in Japan. They never coming for him.
Yes, sir. Right.
But see what they'll do. Oh, he's a super predator. Oh yeah, news at 11. Let's get him. You know, and the sad thing is that's what you've got to deal with, and you have to know how to navigate it. It is extremely mentally exhausting being a black male in America. It just is.
Yeah,
and nobody will ever understand that but us. And it's sad that you have a black man working for this media organization who didn't put enough forethought or enough insight into this before it, but then to come on there and tell these black women, oh, how do you feel that they're talking bad about black women? Meanwhile, they told you did you notice I pointed it out when you walked through. They told you I didn't know anything about this. You called me and you told me to watch it. I didn't know nothing about it. I got my son his passport. They didn't know anything about this stuff.
Right.
And this dude had his agenda to bring you down. But they're never going to interview me. They don't want me because they know I'm ready for them. They know I see them a mile away. Right. And that's just what it comes down to.
Mm-hmm. Right. Brother Edward, how you doing, sir? And I'm sure you've been listening. This whole negative fiasco or diatribe against Austin Holloman. How's this been percolating in your subconscious about the oppression and the emasculation of black men?
Yeah, appreciate you having me on. You know, what's up, everybody, with the panel? I mean, you know, like I said, I have the same opinion. Austin did a very excellent job. You know the way he conducted himself. Really proud of him because you don't get a lot of second chances when it comes to stuff like that. And I don't mean like what happened with the initial thing. I mean like how he responded to it on like a platform like that. So that's definitely good. And I'm pretty sure that's not going to be shared out there because it's a good look. And that's typically how they do that. So I agree with that. What I will say is this has happened before. This happened during the apocalypse thing. And that was really one of the unofficial births of Manosphere 2.0. And you see how big that got. This is, pre-Kevin Samuels and all that. It was a similar thing with a lawyer that wanted to get with a Caucasian man and pretty much make it like what we're doing is hate speech. This is when YouTube, like when a lot of big advertisers were really kind of going to YouTube about different things, when the conservatives, just like the Trump situation, right? And putting their ads in front of certain videos. And they tried to use that to dismantle our entire space. And a lot of Jews didn't even know about each other. It's funny because they had certain people on the list that were actually like Derrick Jackson light folks, and it did harm a lot of people's channels, but for the most part, a lot of stuff exploded. And that was a lot worse than what this is. It didn't get on the news and stuff, but as far as its ability to affect us, so this stuff has happened before. And, a lot of people have learned from that, and the space is a lot bigger since then. So I just want to remind everybody of that. As far as what that dude did, I mean, this is what they say about older black men, man. This is why, a lot of times people get a rap. I'm usually not on that train, but I'll give him credit at the very least for letting him express himself and not and honestly, it speaks for itself if you actually dig into the past of what the women that he brought on there was, she's a single mother, even though she comes from a 2-parent home. I believe she has 2 kids by 2 different men. I'm not judging. My own mother has 3 kids by 3 different men.
Wow.
But I mean, stuff happens. But at the same time, I mean, just look. I'm gonna say this, and then I'm done. Just look at the first black woman that was on there, and then her that was doing the majority of talking. Just off of presentation alone. Don't even get into the fact that she may have an OnlyFans page or all that. Just look at the presentation and how he had a suit. The other woman was very well dressed, and then she was literally looking like she literally just got out the bed or something like that. I'm not trying to roast her, but what I'm talking about is this is an image, and you want to talk about black men are making y'all look bad. Nobody makes African American women look worse than African.
Right.
And yeah, you look at what they spend their money on. I mean, you got stuff like the Woman King. Shonda Rhimes is probably going to be a multi-$100 million person off of this stuff. This is what you pay for at a very rate. So it's kind of like y'all want to focus on us. But the stuff speaks for itself. So y'all covered all of it. And I think him doing that interview really shows a contrast. Then you got to think about this, his age compared to all these people. Like, I'm not trying to bring Jason Black into it, but you got people that are in almost 50 years old trying to drop the lightning bolt on this dude. And these are people that try to say, we need to be pro-black, we need to be united, we need to do this. Yet when something that you don't like happens, let me tell you, the character of how somebody is based on how you deal with a situation or deal with someone you don't agree with who you like. That's when the real you comes out. And I'll leave it at that.
Well, you know what? You said something. He's an old man and, consistent with Grady and a lot of these old men that more or less assume the women of today are like their mothers and their grandmothers. This poor old fool is a gravy train simp. Yeah, it's Gravy Train Sipping. Shout out to my man Azrael, Isaiah first of his name. Austin, you'll get a meal if you deserve it. Meanwhile, Lori Harvey, Daddy told me to remember that I'm always the prize. Note the difference, gentlemen. Yeah, it's hypergamy on steroids. And shout out to my man, Beautiful Lies. Shout out to my man, Beautiful Lives. He said, salute KC Dynamic Panel tonight. Listening in while watching the game. Shout out to my brother, El Guapo. And El Guapo, because you've shown so much love and kindness. El Guapo, you are the #1 sponsor of this stream. Thank you, sir. It's okay for black men to flex, Edwin, and then I'm going to let Pablo pop in. And, actually, I'm going to ask Pablo, and then, because I asked the question earlier, Pablo Frescobar, fellow Eagle like myself, is it okay for black men to flex in a time when black men have been heavily oppressed?
Yes.
Talk about it.
Black men need to start running. We got to stop. Black men should not have a policy of appeasement. One thing that this is exposed is there's too many dudes, and it doesn't matter the age, that in this space that has a policy of appeasement. They want to be just left alone. I'm not saying you have to be in the forefront of speaking out. I'm not saying that. But don't get in other people's way when they're trying to basically fight for you having a better freedom to do stuff. One thing I will say, and I was born in 86. But one thing that doesn't get talked about as we're going into Black History Month is everybody was cool with Dr. King and Malcolm X now, particularly Malcolm X. They want now that everything's after the fact. But the reality is you have a lot of people, black people, that were not for Malcolm X, were not for what he was trying to do. They were not for Dr. King. They just wanted to be left alone because at the end of the day, they thought it was, I'm talking about women too, but I'm talking about men mainly. They just thought you're just making, whitey mad. And now they want to, after, even in the segregations when the young brothers were sitting in the restaurants and the diners and all of that, they didn't want to cause trouble. Now, fast forward, we're dealing with a lot less racial. All we're talking about really is censorship at this point. And you got new dudes that are sitting here talking about Austin's doing too much, Austin's doing this, Austin's doing that. Where I'm very aware of the travel community in demographics, what Caucasians are doing, what Black women are doing, and that's something. So that's the answer to that question. Another thing I'm gonna say, and be real quick, the one thing that's really annoying me about this conversation is the idea that here's some facts for you. Black women have more passports than Black men. That is a fact. And that's despite Black men obviously outnumber Black women in the military, which is the easier access to get a passport. Black women are traveling more than Black men. Now, I will say this is my opinion. I can't register this as fact, but I do strongly believe this. And I think this year we need to put evidence on this. I think Black women sex tour at probably 3 to 4 times the rate as Black men because they're not watched like that.
Right.
So I think Black women sex tour as much more as Black men as Black women have sex more than Black men as a group. So I'll leave it at that.
No doubt, no doubt. Shout out to my man Marty McFly. I'll bring you on the field, dog, after we finish breaking the show down. But
I want to say a comment. It has to be higher than that.
Go ahead, brother. Go ahead, brother.
It has to be higher than that because they don't get it for free. We do. We get the women come up to us trying to date us all the time. They don't have guys coming up to them trying to date them. So if anything, they're the ones who actually have to pay for it or actually have to do something for it. Not us. It's just easy. When we're talking about marriages, the international marriages for us, for like passport bros getting married compared to ABW, must be at least 50 to 1. Because I don't know how many of the guys I know. I don't know. The women go abroad. They don't get anything. People ignore them. They don't care.
Well, ask yourself this question: how many foreign men are coming to the United States looking for wives?
Good point.
Or sex.
And that's across the board. That's not just a Black woman. That's not a Black woman thing. And that's another thing. Austin never really bashed Black women. Austin interviewed other races of women as well as Black women. So Austin was more of a modern woman thing. Black women just assumed because he was Black that he was talking about them, which is why you only see Black people having his name in their mouth. So they really lumped him in there. He even had, the Asian, I forget his name, forgive me, the Asian guy that had a situation with Melanie King, over Passport Bros. Austin is not strictly like when it comes to Black for Passport Bros. He has other folks, and I did want to acknowledge that because that gets lost in translation a lot of times.
Well, let's deal with the elephant in the room. It's only an issue and a taboo because Black American men are deciding to exercise their options. That's the elephant in the room. A group of men who were previously, quote unquote, under other people's control are now free to go. And they're exercising that freedom.
Yeah. I mean, other women do complain about their men traveling. I've seen it, but it's nowhere near. It's like 1% compared to what we're dealing with. You can barely see it. If you know where to look, you can see this stuff but other women understand. Yeah, they can do a little bit of complaining, but at the end of the day, they're gonna have to compete because they understand the leverage. Black women have a zero-sum game. Black women will rather burn everything down than actually compete and be accountable. That's the difference. Go ahead.
Pablo, hold tight, Pablo. I'm gonna get you, brother. Let me shout out to my man, the professional 238 for the 10. I appreciate it, brother. That's a deal, right? And also shout out to my man Hezekiah Coleman for that $5 cash out. And also thank you to Gregory Scotland. Gregory Scotland said, salute to Andre, Big Truck, Theo, Pablo, and Kosher, always bringing the goods, and I appreciate that, brother. But go ahead, Pablo. Go ahead, sir. Go ahead, brother Pablo.
Okay, so let me give a little anecdotal story. I have a brother. His name is Carlos. He's in my American Black Men Married to Foreign Women Facebook group, and another gentleman who are both married to Ethiopian women from Addis Ababa, Ethiopia. They were in Addis together, and a woman who is in a Pan-African group with them, a Black American woman who was on the continent at the time, was corresponding with them and saying, "Yeah, I'm going to be in Addis. We should hook up. We should meet up and have dinner." The two men and their two wives agreed to meet with this American black woman at an Ethiopian restaurant in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia. The woman came in, sat down at the table with the gentleman and their two Ethiopian wives. And you know how ladies do. They need to go to the bathroom. One of the Ethiopian ladies decided, you know what, I need to go to the restroom. She said, "Oh, I'll go with you." She goes to the restroom with the two Ethiopian wives of the two black American brothers. In the restroom, she proceeds to run down each of those men, telling the Ethiopian woman, "You need to leave these two men.
Oh, wow.
They're no good.
Wow.
They're going to mistreat you. They may abuse you. They may do any manner of devilment to you and leave you busted and disgusted. Get away from them now." The two women come back to the table. One of them didn't really understand that much English, but she knew something was wrong. The other one comes back, and my friend Carlos said when he looked at the look on her face, of his wife's face, when she came back to the table, it was like she had seen a ghost, and she said, "Come on, let's go."
Wow. The visceral hate. Big Truck, the visceral hate. Why is the hate so great towards black men, in your opinion, Big Truck?
From who specifically?
From specifically black women. I don't want to castigate all black women. We know there's some good sisters, but the percentage that seek to castigate black men, to disparage their name, and to cast them in a negative light.
In general, they've basically adopted liberal feminism. That's number one. Mm-hmm. Feminists, no matter what they say, they want to be men, and they'll never be that. So they're going to hate you anyway. Secondly, as I've already pointed out, all of the resources that we have access to, the money that we're making, these women will come on, they'll tell you, "Oh, well, you're not working with us. You're not trying to partner with us." They want access to what you have. Right. They want access to you as a man. But the issue is we aren't going to accept them unless they're on our terms. They feel that we are beneath them.
Right.
That's the bottom line.
Right.
Men are hypergamous. No, women are hypergamous. Men are hypogamous. Men don't want women. That they've tried to convince us that we're supposed to marry on our level. It's never been that way. Men have always married women who were less than they were. Always. They've never married women on their level, nor have they sought to marry women above them. And there's a very simple reason for that, because they don't respect men who they feel are beneath them. What was the name of that celebrity who just was cheating on a man and said, "Yeah, I could do that because I make more money than him"? What was her name? Gabrielle Union. The reality is they see that we are moving forward without them. Right. They are seeing that we are getting better deals, in Kevin Samuel's words. We're getting better deals. We're getting wives. We're getting younger wives. We're getting wives who defer to our masculinity and our leadership. The last thing they want to see is that, especially when it's a woman who they know that on even a genetic or phenotype level, they can't compete with at all. And especially when it's a woman who's willing to be the word submissive, they hate it. They hate it. It's a trigger phrase at this point. These women overseas submit to your leadership right away when they see that you're worthy of it. These women here will fight you. They're at war with you. They will not submit. And they tell you up front they won't submit. That's the reason. It's very simple. They hate us because they can't be us.
Fair point. Give me 1 minute, Edward, real quick. So American Brazilians say just left the airport and the amount of sisters coming from Jamaica was insane. Starting with Dre and then Edward, the hypocrisy. Because we know they're not this damn necessarily going to there for food and seeing the country. They're going to get the yardie man. What's your take on this hypocrisy? And then Edward, I'm going to let Edward add insight as well. Unmute yourself, Dre. Unmute yourself, Dre. Go ahead, brother.
As you gentlemen were talking, I was actually looking up the female intimacy tourism that's been taking place over the last, just looking at the last 20 years. And they actually have a map for where the women come from and where the women go to. Women from Australia, United States, UK, Norway, Sweden, New Zealand, Japan, Ireland, Finland, France, Germany, Denmark, Belgium, as well as, if I didn't mention, Canada and Austria. And these are the destinations that all these women are going to get their intimacy tourism on. Cambodia, Caribbeans, Costa Rica, Ecuador, Greece, Indonesia. That's why we don't see them as often, because some of these places we just go in and go out. Italy, Kenya, Morocco, the Philippines, Portugal, Spain, even Thailand, Turkey, and Vietnam. These are where many of the women from around the world are getting their intimacy in, because the reason why we don't see them is because they try to do theirs in hiding, even though they're in plain sight. B, they go to countries that we mainly don't go to as often. Like, you won't see us too much in Indonesia. So a lot of you won't see us noticing that the women are going to these other locations to get their tourism on. But they do. He's absolutely correct. Statistically, women are out there far more than men. But the part that gets me is the fact that they can have movies made about it.
Right.
Girlfriends trip, about them going out and meeting guys and just throw. Girl, should I give it to him? Yes, you should. Should I give it to him? Yes, you should. And they make a whole movie about women meeting guys in different parts of the world or the Caribbean or their vacation, and it's just the norm. They get best-selling books written about it, about getting their groove back. But at the end of the day, it still exists and nobody says anything about it. And it is more than men. So when they sit back, and that's the hypocritical part. If most of the women, if they were to save up for a girls' trip, the first place they're trying to hit is one area in the Caribbeans. They're trying to hit Jamaicas. They're trying to hit the Trinidads. They're trying to hit the Cubas. They're trying to hit any place where there's what they consider strong, virile men of color that they can take advantage of, that, like they say, is of low economic standard, third world, or whatever they want to say. But they are doing the exact same thing. Women in the United States are extremely hypocritical when it comes to their passports, their money, and how they're handling it.
Yeah, but go ahead and break it down, dog. What's your take on the amount of the hypocrisy in the women that are traveling abroad at the same rate the men are traveling?
All right, the first thing is, one thing that annoys me is this idea that you hear black women and black men saying that we're bashing black women. You notice how they never say that what we're saying is not correct, ever.
True.
And that's a question that should be constantly asked. Like in these travel conversations, you need to ask any woman that has an opinion, any dude that has an opinion, other than have they traveled. Do you believe that black women have more passports? Do you believe that black women travel more? Like that, because we need to start putting them on the wood and stop doing this back and forth. As far as the hypocrisy, that book that was written by Duke University Press, that was written by a black woman, Bianca Williams. This is a book it was published in February 2018. Dennis Sperling has talked about it. It's called A Pursuit of Happiness: Black Women, Diasporic Dreams, and the Politics of Emotional Transnationalism. I'm just so tired of this transfer. Anyway, that's a book that is an academic book, that is a book that could be selected for feminist studies. If there's an audio version of that book, I'm gonna find it. If there's not, I might get people pay for it to get somebody to put an audio, just so we can get as many dudes looking at this as possible. The hypocrisy is real. Everybody, you got dudes that want to they say they're pro-black. They got channels that I know they know that black women are traveling more than black men, but they don't. I even had a woman recently admit this on the stream that I'll share with you all later. Where she knows. They are, this is what I call sexual politics. 90% of the arguments that are had in this space or in these conversations are sexual political conversations. The stuff that the women are talking about that's why they believe in narratives versus we're just telling it like it is. We have no problem with black women putting black men on blast if what they're saying is accurate. they're lying on us, which is why I'm just going back to the bashing part. The reason it's not bashing, we have to tell the true narrative, the truth, where you're just putting narratives that's literally destroying our reputation. It's to the point where boys literally grow up with a guilt complex.
Right.
It is very bad. And I'm not just talking about from a mother standpoint. I'm just talking about like the whole environment. So these dudes got ego and got guilt. So yes. By the way, Michael Baisden, Tom Joyner, when they talk about them cruises for them old folks, it ain't just old folks. Now I'm young. Y'all are older than me. So y'all know about Tom Joyner and Michael Baisden. I'm from Chicago, so Michael Baisden played there well. This is this is the advantage. It's an infrastructure. Now, Dre said that they're doing it in secret. Not really. It's just black men ain't in a business. Like, there is no vice department. What is vice? Vaginal investigation and customs enforcement. But there is a well-funded DICE department. What is that? Dick investigations and customs enforcement. So it's not just black women. You have black men. We don't even got to pay attention to the black men. Look at the black men that's talking about, oh, you're going over there because blah, blah, blah. Yet they have nothing to say about women. I'll end it with this. You got women going to the Dominican Republic to get BBLs, not getting up off the table, and they're still going.
Right.
That is how crazy it is beyond sex. They're just going and getting Dominican is not certified. They're not going to Cuba, where Cuba has a great medical thing. They're going to the DR getting submit, and then people, even the Shanquella situation, people don't forgot about that. But this they want to blow up. So the hypocrisy is it's insane. You can't even measure the level of hypocrisy black women got. The same black women that'll sit there and say all this crap are the same black women that probably been ran through by multiple different dudes overseas.
Let's finish listening to this. Hold tight, guys.
Fire. Culture, clinician.